Hey beauties, welcome to the Clean Beauty Podcast. Did you know that unlike most everything else in America, cosmetics are not regulated? This means that corporations can use thousands of potentially harmful ingredients that I personally know can cause health problems. I'm your host, Cassandra McClure. I've been in the beauty business for over 10 years as a celebrity makeup artist that advocates for safer and more sustainable cosmetics. Join me each week for important news, exclusive interviews, and more on the clean beauty revolution.
This episode is proudly sponsored by lashbinder.com, a patent-pending tool that I developed to be the quickest, easiest, and safest way to apply lashes on yourself and clients. If you've ever tried applying lashes, you either use your fingers, which is pretty hard to master, a pair of tweezers, which can be super scary, or you were lucky enough to have a friend like me help you. Those days are long gone with Lashbinder, an applicator that'll have you looking fabulous in under a minute. Are you ready to say goodbye to expensive, damaging, and time-consuming lash extensions? Or hours spent in the mirror applying makeup? Don't you wish you could apply lashes easy and just go? Let your skin glow and your confidence skyrocket with the perfect pair of lashes applied with Lashbinder. Lashbinder is truly the lash tool you'll ever need. Be the first to get your hands on one today, exclusively at lashbinder.com. Be sure to find us on Instagram at lashbinder, LASHBINDER. Links in the show notes. Happy lashing! Okay, so today we have a very special guest, Wendi. She's in Texas right now, and she is the formulator and creator of Kudarat Skincare. Personally, I have been using her products for a few months now, and Nathan actually really loves them too. He has a celiac allergy. And ever since I've had the body wash and the face wash in my shower, he has been hogging it. And I need a couple new bottles. Um, it's funny. One of his comments was like, it's kind of slimy. And I'm like, it's such a weird thing that you say that because I feel like that's a great way to describe it, but it's kind of true, but it like holds onto your skin. So you actually, like cream body washes for me, like when they just fall off, it doesn't, I feel like I'm wasting product, but with yours, they kind of stay on your skin until you're ready to kind of wash them off. I love the formulation. It's like, it actually works as a body wash, and we're not like loofah people anymore because they're super unsustainable. So we got rid of them. And so your body wash has been one of our like new cult faves.
Oh my God, thank you so much. That just warms my heart. Yeah, it does stick to your skin, and the reason is because the body washes are actually made from shea, sunflower, jojoba, jojoba is almost not even like an oil. It's more of almost like a wax, and so it does have that stickiness to it. And there's also olive oil and aloe that is the base for our body washes. And so, yeah, those oils are meant to actually adhere to the skin so that you're actually getting skin conditioning as you gently clean your skin too. Because one of the things that we experience, like with traditional body washes, is there's a lot of harsh surfactants, which are basically the soaps, for just kind of as the simple way to put it. And they're generally chemically based, and they strip the skin of the oils. And that's not what you want. You want your skin to be clean, but you also don't want to strip it of its natural moisture. And so the formulas that we have actually really do a great job of helping keep your skin moisturized and locking that moisture in, especially if you're in a super dry climate. But even if you're not in a dry climate, they're really great too, because even where I live in the humid, swampy South, we still have dry skin here too, believe it or not, even with all this gross humidity.
That's awesome. So, can we get a little bit of background on you?
Yeah.
Because I know that When you first wrote me, you said that you were a geologist?
Yes. I am
Okay.
yeah, well, yeah, imagine that. It's like people ask me all the time. Yes, I am a geologist. I spent over 20 years as a career in geology, actually, if you count my time in grad school and all of that. And people ask all the time, how in the world does a geologist end up at the helm of a skincare company? And that is because of my own literal war with health and autoimmune issues that really started in my late teens and lasted for most of my adult life. And basically, I ended up with about 7 or 8 different autoimmune diseases, had cancer in my 20s. I had ovarian cancer, which in your 20s is crazy, and just generally not doing well. And even after working with some really amazing functional medicine doctors, changing my diet because they had told me that the root cause of all of your issues is gluten. And by gluten, we mean all grains, even corn and rice. And so they said, change your diet and you'll get better. Well, I still wasn't getting better. And I'm like, okay, why am I not getting better? And they were stumped too. And so I said, well, I'm a scientist. Let me do some research. And so ended up doing a lot of research on it and really recognized that the holy grail, the simple answer was that I was still getting exposure to gluten and other contaminants from, my makeup, my skincare, my lotion, all of it. And so I was like, all right, let's just do a crazy experiment, throw everything out. And I did. I literally threw everything out. I mean, this is so gross, but even for like 2 weeks, I didn't even use like shampoo or soap. I just rinsed myself off because I really wanted to see. And I started healing. And I'm like, oh my God, it's that simple. Are you kidding me? So I started introducing products back and immediately began to recognize what I was or was not reacting to. And I thought, okay, if I'm having this problem, I know that there's other people that are having this problem too. So I started researching products and really looking at them on a chemical micro, I guess, atomic level, which is so geeky, but I really got into it and was like, okay, most of what we're putting on our bodies is really not good for us. There are some great products out there, but even among the great ones, a lot of the times they will still use preservatives that are paraben based or others, and they're just not good for you. And so, um, I really became like just really obsessed with products and researching these ingredients. And after not really being happy with what was out there, I just decided I would start developing products for my own self and literally caught my kitchen on fire a couple of times and was trying to figure out okay, it's sort of like baking a cake. You can substitute coconut and almond flour for regular flour, but it's not a one-to-one substitution. So there's a lot of trial and error in there. And so after this, after working on this in my spare time for a couple of years, really, I developed these products, and family and friends started saying, "Hey, your skin looks really great, and you look so healthy. What's going on?" Because I kind of kept this under my sleeve for a little while, and so I started sharing products with them, and they're like, "Oh, you really might want to think about like selling this stuff." So I thought that was really cool, and so that's really how Kudarat got started. It's a solution. It was a solution to my own health problems, and now we are a solution for other people that are suffering from anything related to gluten, autoimmune diseases, any kind of skin diseases. We really do focus on that and making our products as non-reactive and clean and beautiful as possible. And not just that, but also effective. Like we really wanted to make sure that we're not just putting a bunch of really healthy ingredients in a jar. We wanted to make sure that the products actually deliver on what we say they do. And so it really has been a labor of love. And I'm just so excited to get to tell people about it and, hopefully be a source of like inspiration and information too.
That's great. So the beginning of your story is I don't know if you know mine, but it's the exact same.
Hmm.
So so it's just crazy to hear that from someone else because I knew there were other people out there that were able to that had problems, used product, eliminated them and got rid of them and then were like how is it this simple that I'm now not reacting and itching and all of that stuff? Mine was really the fragrance
Mhm.
and whatever else is in the fragrance, a lot of probably synthetic preservatives, like you said. But it's just kind of amazing to hear that, from you when you actually had a more serious disease and or ovarian cancer and even a serious gluten allergy. So no wonder I like them so much.
Yay, I'm so
Yeah,
glad.
that's
And,
great.
and speaking of, like, synthetic fragrances, that's been a big thing for us too, and, that for me was the most difficult final piece of the puzzle because, um, finding natural fragrances that don't smell gross are is actually really difficult, and I finally, after a lot of research with that too, was able to find a supplier that uses sun certified organic sunflower oil and then infuses the yummy smelly parts of plants into this oil, and so that's what we use now for our fragrances. And so even our fragrances are totally 100% natural. So, because a lot of people are like, well, we see chocolate decadence or we see Caribbean tropical, and how can that possibly be natural? Well, it really is. It's just because we've infused chocolate and we've infused fruits. Well, we haven't, but our supplier has into this beautiful sunflower oil. And I mean, it's just so exciting. The all the different ingredients that have become available out there now for people that really are conscious about what they're putting on their bodies, and yeah, I mean, it's really cool.
It is because your products are one of the most fragrant ones that smell super good. I mean, really sweet, always like energizing, revitalizing, waking me up. And so I didn't know what exactly in it. I knew it was clean, but I just wasn't sure. So that kind of gives me a little bit of an idea. But that's awesome. I mean, I just love it. And so I know that you guys are. Is it just you, or is there?
There's a few of us. There's a handful of us now, actually. There are, let me think. There's 5 of us. We have a couple of amazing, very experienced beauty world people that are consultants that basically mentoring us through this process. And it's been the skincare industry is so loud, so noisy. There are so many brands and products out there now that it's extremely difficult to break through it. And really that has changed in the last couple of years, especially with the advent of indie beauty. And so these guys have been in this industry a very long time, and they're part of this. They've taken like this huge pride of ownership in the brand, and they're really guiding us. And so for that, we're really grateful. But there's also Anna. She is our vice president, and she is also in charge of marketing. We have an amazing creative director, Renee, who is responsible for our new look. So we are actually in the process of relaunching. We've kept our same general aesthetic, but we've made it just even more, I guess, beautiful and bright and vibrant. And she's responsible for that. And she's also taking over our all of our digital. So everything that you see now visually going forward is stuff that Renee's created, and it's just amazing. And we are also getting ready to, oh, I say getting ready. We've been working on entering the Indian market now for about a year and a half, and we have an amazing advisor who's helping us with that too. So we're really a tiny company as in terms of people. We all have our main roles, but we all wear whatever hat we need to wear on any particular day to get the job done. And fortunately, it's we all we're such a diverse group of people, like from totally different backgrounds, different countries, live in different parts of the country, but we all have the same shared goal. And in general, it's been a lot of fun, and that is one of the things I think that keeps me going on a daily basis is just the people that I have been fortunate enough to surround myself with. I'm grateful every day for them coming into this and making it, part of their journey too. And it's really cool.
So how did you find these? Is it all women or just one
It's
other guy?
well, it's actually a mix. So there's three of us girls, women, I should say, and then actually three guys. So there's six of us, I should say. So really, a lot of these introductions came from Anna, our vice president. She had already spent some time in the beauty industry and had developed a really good network. And so it was kind of like just through a series of introductions that led us all to each other. And I mean, for example, like Michael, I'll just say so we're actually going on Amazon too on their indie beauty. We're really, really excited about that. He's in charge of that. And he is somebody that she's worked with in the past, but he is one of these guys that has done Amazon forever. So again, it's just a great resource and it's a great collaboration to have. And so yeah, it's really, I guess, long story short, it's all about relationships and talking to people and meeting people, and you know, yeah, kind of how it happened.
That's really cool. And you co-authored a book, right?
Yes, I did. It's called Women Who Influence. It was an international bestseller on Amazon, which is amazing. And it's a neat book series actually. If you've ever heard of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, that main author is Jack Canfield, and what he does is he takes people's stories and puts them together into these beautiful, inspiring collections. And so the woman that's in charge of the Women Who series, her name is Kate Butler, and she's doing a very similar thing to Jack. And in fact, he is her mentor. And so what she does is she invites these women with a story, basically, to be an author in the book. And so she's actually published four of these now. We were the third book. And to date, I think the most successful, which is really exciting. But each of us was given a chapter in the book, and it was a beautiful opportunity to tell our story. And it's all about telling your story and empowering people, and in giving them, inspiring them, and saying, no matter what you've got going on in your life, we've all had, our trials and tribulations. There's something that, look at that silver lining and what good can come out of it. And even if it's just telling your story, and another person who may be going through the same thing will be like, oh wow, there's somebody else out there like me. So that's kind of the whole point of the book. And then it was also a great opportunity to get my story out there to a bigger audience, and along with all these other women. And it was a really neat collaborative project to be part of. And it was an honor to be part of it. And it's really cool to say that you're a best-selling author too. I mean, so yeah.
That is really cool. And when did that come out?
That came out in the fall of last year. So it's still on Amazon, of course, and so people can get it there. And you know, I still give out copies of it now and then, now and again, just to various people. But yeah, it's out there, and it's been out, yeah, for about 6 months. And like I said, the fourth book is already out. And she's on about a 6 month schedule now, so she's getting these out, 1 to 2 books a year now. So
Wow, so it's a huge series.
hmm it
That's
is,
awesome.
yeah.
So how many other people are in the one that you how many other women are in the book that was released with you in it?
Gosh, um, I think around 25. I don't have the exact number.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it was a lot. And it, of course, we all got I guess, the really cool perk of getting to read it before it was released. And it's one of those books where, yeah, a good glass of wine or maybe an entire bottle. And it's definitely, you're going to be laughing, you're going to be crying, you're going to be mad. It's just, it just, I mean, it was inspiring and overwhelming at the same time. I mean, it's just all of these powerful, powerful stories and some of the obstacles that some of these women overcame and what they've been able to accomplish in their lives. I'm just like, oh my God, it's really, like I said, it was an honor to be included with this group of people because Kate, of course, gets, and that's part of the reason she can continue to publish all of these books, but she gets way more, um, I guess, submissions than slots in the book. And so she's at that place now to where she gets to pick and choose. And so I love that. I love that, it's all being part of something really big and just something that's kind of taken the world by storm is it's like I said, it's a huge honor. And um, I mean, I'll definitely never forget being a part of this experience.
That's great. And how did you two connect?
Believe it or not, through a mutual friend. It seems like it that's the whole thing with Kudarat and everything associated with Kudarat. It's like all of the um, beautiful connections that have been made. It's been because of mutual friendships or mutual people that we've developed relationships with. And this particular woman, her name is Brooke, and she is known as a social celebrity. She's very successful, especially on Facebook, and she had created a group, and it was all about just bringing people together. And so you join the group. The group is no longer there, but it was great because it was entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people like you, people that are like out there doing these amazing things in the world. And it was just a motley collection. And so that Kate was in that group too. And so we all just kind of, we had these weekly hangouts and we would talk and different people would lead the call. And it was all about that. It was just very much relationship building and getting to know people.
Oh, wow. So you actually had like phone in phone calls.
Mhm. We did.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So are you in something like that now?
No. At this point, it's like I said, that group, eventually it just kind of faded down. It served its purpose. But no, not at this point. One thing that, I mean, the whole truth of the matter is ever since last summer when we decided to rebrand, we have literally spent like every waking moment. And there's so much behind the scenes that goes into that. And so that's really where the entire focus has been. And so now I'm actually kind of looking forward to getting back into that kind of thing. We had even stopped not network we weren't networking as much either because we were so focused on the behind the scenes and getting things where we really want to get them. But it's like I said, now that we're about to, we're literally in the relaunch stages. We're ready to start getting back into that again. And in fact, there's some groups here in Houston, obviously, and then the cool thing is everybody else that's part of Kudarat lives in different parts of the country, and so we have that unique ability to access networks in those groups in those areas of the country too. And so, um, in fact, two people are going to be at Natural Products Expo West next week, which is like the premier place to go and for natural products. And this is everything: food products, ingestibles of any kind, like supplements, and of course, makeup and skincare and body products. And that event now has gotten so huge, it takes up the entire convention center. You can't even possibly get through the whole thing, but it is a huge people go with their entire schedule already filled up with meetings, and that's what you do. You go there and you talk to people, and if you can't help each other, chances are you know somebody that can. Or if you have an interest in a particular topic, they or you will be able to hook each other up with somebody that may have that same interest. And so it's just that's really one of the things that we're getting focused back on again is just looking for people, building those relationships. And I mean, I guess that's the thing that's just the most important. It's just relationship building. And that is all about listening to people and getting to know them and their story and genuinely wanting to help people whether, they ever bought a Kudarat product or not, great if they do. Of course, we want them to, but it's more about just helping people and guiding them in the right direction and, you know, doing anything we can to help, people have a better life. I mean, that's really kind of the crux of it.
Definitely. So, will you be at the expo?
No, unfortunately not. It's no, not this time. Because we're also doing the Amazon stuff too. And three of our team actually live in Southern California. It was just better for them to go instead of me. So they'll be holding down the fort out there, and I'm sure
So,
that yeah.
is there like a booth or?
No, we didn't do a booth. There are, my God, thousands of booths there. And for a brand like us, a small independent brand, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like the analogy of drinking water through a fire hose. It's complete overwhelm. And in fact, there was a woman I spoke with this morning. She is from the Nourish Group. They're a gluten-free. They're a specific gluten-free organization. And so that's, we had a great chat, and she says, "Yeah, I'm going and I'm having heart palpitations." And that seems to be the general reaction of people. It's like they look forward to going, but at the same time, it's absolute, total, complete sensory overload because there's just so much thrown at you over the course of that week, which is next week. And so, in some ways, I'm kind of looking forward to not being there, but I'm glad that we are going to have representation. And like I said, they're just going around and networking and talking to people. And we do have some meetings set up, so it'll be really good for sure.
Yeah, it seems like it's been something around for a while. I'm going with the manager for my podcast, and we have a couple meetings, but we're not even doing the full week because I mean I just kind of did that with
Hmm.
Indie Beauty Expo and Beauty X in
Yeah.
LA, and even that was a lot, and that's small compared
Yep.
to this. So,
Yeah,
uh,
we did Indie Beauty last year and last January, and yeah, it was like, okay. After that, I'm like, can I go and sleep for about a month now? Yeah, it was wild. It was fun, but it was wild.
mhm. Awesome. We'll have to meet up with your crew out there. I think I'm going Wednesday through Friday. But anyways,
Okay.
um, I'm like really looking at more sustainable brands and packaging and options and things for my next V2 of my lash. I know it's crazy because I haven't even launched my first one, but that's in a couple weeks. But anyways, yeah, I have quite a few people I want to see, but I was looking at the speaker roster and I'm like, oh, this doesn't end. It's like hundreds of
Mm-mm.
people.
Yeah, it's
It was really
crazy.
yeah. So that's awesome. But I'm excited to go to Anaheim and check it out.
Hmm.
So oh, did you experience well, how did you like indie beauty?
It was, oh, how do I put this? I will say this. It, I think that it's worth going to one time, and especially if you're a startup brand, because one of the things that we got from that was a huge, huge learning is even, and like you said, it's a much smaller event than say, Natural Products West, but it's still a bit of overwhelm, and you have so many people coming at you, and buyers and shoppers and media and all of it. And what we found that was really difficult was to navigate through all of that. And we actually had suggestions for them and for another similar expo that we had gone to in New York the previous fall. And a lot of the vendors like us, or the brands like us, gave them similar feedback. It's like, they like, one of the things they advertise is, we're bringing in 150 buyers, or whatever. Well, how not first of all, not all of those buyers are going to be relevant to every brand, and the ones that are, it's like, how do you get airtime with them? Because when the buyers came, it was the same thing. they were just walking by booths and stuff, and they didn't necessarily have a good understanding of what different brands were representing, and they were on the same time schedule we were. So it was a time thing. It's like, what better can be done to ensure that the buyers and the brands, or the buyers and the bloggers and influencers, or the buyers and the actual consumers get to have that one-on-one time together. And so that was feedback that was taken really well. And I think that they're trying to make it more accessible on both sides of the fence, so people can actually talk to each other. Because that part was, because we talked to tons and tons and tons of people, but it was just like, if somebody came by and they're like, "Hey, what are you about?" And then we would start talking. But then if somebody else came by, it was, you know what I mean? It was very chaotic, I guess is the word for it. And so there was that. And then the other thing, for anybody else that wants to be an exhibitor at these things, what people have to understand is these are not money making events, and these are not selling events. These are really high powered networking events, but they have to be curated in a way, like I was saying, that it makes it user friendly for, say, a buyer and an influencer talking to the brands. Because when you're in this giant, overwhelming environment, it sometimes makes the conversation difficult. I will say, with that being said, we did make some really good connections, and some of those led to things, some didn't, which, that's the nature of it. But it did open some doors for us. And the thing about indie beauty is that is the trend now, because people are much more conscious of what it is that they're putting on their skin. And in fact, I had heard a phrase used, or a word used this morning I'd never heard of. It's the LOHAS people. It's the lifestyle of health and sustainability. And I was told that that now makes up like 25% of the US market. And these are people that are value shoppers. They shop based on values and honesty and integrity and transparency and what's going in those products. And are you a cruelty free company? Are you using, like you had mentioned, sustainable packaging? And what are you doing? What are you doing that is, making a difference in the world? And so that's like a big part of it, if that makes sense. I don't know. I
What did you
totally
say that
lost
was
my
called?
it's called LOHAS. It's an acronym I've never heard before. But it stands for Lifestyle of Health and Sustainability. And
Wow, I really like that.
yeah, I was like, because she asked me, she's like, "Have you ever heard of this?" I'm like, "No, this is wow, this is really cool." Because this is one of the things we talk about all the time, because of course, brands have values. That's part of each brand's kind of thing. So, and so that was really cool. And Indie Beauty and the whole Indie Beauty Expo, I guess that's where I was going with it. It kind of all ties together. And so having that exposure as a brand at an Indie Beauty type event, and being part of that whole indie beauty, we're a conscious lifestyle wellness brand, it's really good for everybody. It's good for us. It's good for consumers to know that there are options out there for them, whether it's us or another brand that's similar. Those were the good things about indie beauty. But as until we are at a certain point, I don't know that we would do that again. But like I said, I think it's worthwhile for startup brands to do at least once, just because of the non-monetary, intangible, non-tangible results that you get from it, because there is value to them.
That's great. So you seem to have kind of a larger team, and is that the way that it started, or did you kind of grow um, over the past year or so?
It was definitely growth over the last year. Kudarat really started with me, and also my niece, who is from India, she was living with us for about a year, and I just had this kind of really the whole beginning of it. I had some products laying around, and she has really dry skin, and so she started using them, and she was one of the first people. She's like, "Oh my God, can you make me some of this?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And so she became interested in helping me, and so she was really great in the beginning with doing a lot of the down and dirty nitty-gritty work, like a lot of research on suppliers and vendors and that kind of a thing. And she ended up moving to California and was wanting to go and get her MBA, which I was totally supportive of. So at that point, after her, it was just me for a while, and then I actually met Anna, our vice president, through a women's group that I used to be part of. Her cousin um, actually was one of the members in that group, and I said, "Hey," and we had a weekly call, and this group was amazing. It was all about, women empowering each other and inspiring each other. And each week was a different topic that we would discuss. And so I just asked a question. I said, "Hey, does anybody out there know of anybody that's a really good marketer but has experience in the beauty industry?" And this woman's like, "Hey, my cousin, Anna." And again, it was the whole relationship thing and meeting people through other people. And so it was really her and I for about 6 months. And then as we recognized that we needed a lot more firepower and man and woman power behind us, we really started looking for people. But again, being a startup in the beginning, you have to be really careful about not overextending yourself. And so each person that joined the team was somebody that came with really important skill sets that we needed to have to get us to where we're trying to go. And so we don't plan on adding any more people like on this giant advisory super duper skill set group. We're pretty much the core group. We're the board of the company. And then, but moving forward, of course, we're going to start adding employees, which is really exciting. We're looking forward to that because one of the things that we decided, I just wanted to touch on for just a second, is that there's a lot of discussion about whether to keep our manufacturing in-house or to outsource it to contract manufacturing or not. And we actually have a very strong relationship with the number one natural products manufacturer in the U.S. He's an amazing guy. But what we ran into is once you outsource your products, you're not able to control the ingredients. So, for example, there is an ingredient that we use in our products, and it's pumpkin seed cake extract, and it's an amazing, amazing ingredient. What it does for your skin. Well, I found several different suppliers for it. One of the suppliers, and this is part of the whole nitty gritty that we have to do. One of the suppliers actually uses a methylparaben to preserve it, and we're like, we can't use this ingredient. But we found this other supplier that actually uses a natural preservative. In fact, it uses one of the same natural preservatives that we use, and so we're like, okay, we can use them. And so by keeping it in house, we can really, really control where our ingredients are coming from and even the nitty gritty stuff that you're not even going to necessarily know. Um, because we really want to stand by, our promise that our ingredients are super clean and we control the source. And once you outsource that, you lose control about where you get to choose where those ingredients come from. And so there's other indie brands like there's Tata Harper, there's May Lindstrom, there's Osmia Organics, and those are brands that we love and we kind of admire. And they have all also chosen to keep their manufacturing in house. And so later this year, I'm actually permanently moving to Colorado. And once that happens, we are going to start the process of putting together our own facility out there. So it's really exciting and really amazing. And it's definitely the direction we're headed in.
That's great. I love Colorado. I used to live there.
Ah.
Yeah. Like 300 days of sun a year.
Oh, yeah.
Super cool. So, just so people listening know like what the difference is between in-house and like contract manufacturing,
Hmm.
it's not really in your house, right?
No.
Okay.
No. What we do right now is we use a commercial kitchen but we're going to have our own, I guess is what I'm saying.
Got it.
So that's what we do.
I know. I mean, some of the other guests on the show literally make things in their kitchen, and I've done the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've made bath bombs and all that, but
Hmm.
um, good. I just want to clarify. And you also you a couple years ago, you did the Founder Made show. Do you go, how was that?
That was interesting. It was very similar to IBE. The difference between IBE and Founder Made is IBE was all beauty. Founder Made was a mix of food and clothing and technology and beauty, and it was all over the place. And so that ended up, again, that was a learning that they got from that. Because I mean, the girls that are running that show, we did the very first consumer discovery show that they had in New York, and knowing that it was literally two of them and what they put together, I was like, "Oh my god." I mean, it was very impressive what they were able to do. With that being said, it being the inaugural show and all of that, there was a lot of learnings from that for them. And one of the things we actually did is, as one of the beauty brands, they really wanted our input and really wanted to know what went right, what didn't go so well. And so we spent a couple of months afterwards just, talking to them weekly and offering input, and they would bounce ideas off of us. So it was really cool that they really, really, really are in it to help the brands that come to the show. It's not just, this really in and out, quick, overpromised money making thing for them. It was not that at all. And um, the thing about Founder Made, it was in a very crowded space. There was over 100 brands. It was a small show, but um, it was basically in a rented studio space, and it was a beautiful facility, but it was way too small, and so you were literally on top of each other. It was very overcrowded, and so again, it was the same kind of issue with that is what we had at IBE, which was it was very difficult to actually be able to connect with buyers and all of that. And I mean, in fact, MTV um, interviewed us. We literally did a V cast there on the floor, and it was crazy. Like they had a really hard time even getting the audio up and above, um, because it was insane. But they're like, we'll get it worked out. But it was challenging for everybody. And one of the things that was neat about Founder Made that did set it apart from, say, IBE is they actually brought in investors as well. And again, one of the things that they learned from that is because one of the things at that time we were very interested in was raising capital. And so we definitely wanted to have conversations with investors. Well, again, because it was a mixed show of not just beauty, but other types of um, projects as well and products, not every investor was relevant. And we weren't relevant for every investor. And so what they recognize is that, okay, we have to do a better job of saying, okay, these five investors are beauty brands, or these five are for food brands, or whatever. And so what I had heard is that their follow-up shows had actually been much more organized, much more defined. They actually shrunk the events, and they also made them I guess, in like food specific, or clothing specific, or beauty specific, or whatever, instead of trying to serve too many masters. And I think that made a really big difference. So I mean, all of these shows, they have their purpose, but again, it's not something that you would necessarily want to do year after year after year. I would say you would want to do it as a startup for sure if you have the funds to do it. And um, they're expensive. They're thousands and thousands of dollars. And I will say that we came in at entry level at the smallest spot that you could get. And I really think that it was not a disadvantage. So if a small brand can scrape together the funds and go to one, I think it's worth it, just to start, getting exposure. And then I think you take 2 or 3 or even more years off, and you grow your brand, and you get to a certain point, and then I think you go back again, because I think once you scale to a different level, a different set of objectives that you're going to have. And I think that these events can be useful for that too.
That's great. I hope the listeners are getting a lot of insight into this. Going to IBE was cool, but Founder Made for Me, I haven't really done yet, but I have a meeting set up for Alt Summit, so that should be cool. But
Cool.
yeah, it's really cool. So, well, we've kind of gone over a lot in the
Yeah, I
last
see that.
30 minutes. So, is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with before we go?
um, oh my gosh. Holy cow. Oh, I've totally gone blank. I would just say, yeah, I would just say that as a person, you are your own best advocate. And there are so many options and resources out there now to help you be empowered and to really take charge of your own health. And that's really what we're about is helping people to do that. And just know that the beauty and by beauty is such a interesting word, but by beauty I mean healthy skin, healthy body, glowing inside and out beauty. That is something that you do not have to sacrifice. Like, you don't have to I guess I'm totally like all over the place with this. I would just say where beauty meets wellness is something to keep in mind, because beauty is wellness, wellness is beauty. That would be a takeaway that we would want people to have.
I love that. Great. Well, you've been so inspiring and I've loved listening to you. I'm just kind of in awe. Like, I don't always just sit back in a lot of episodes, but it's just been cool to hear from you and get your kind of insight into your journey. And I'm rooting for you. I can't wait to try your new line. I know you guys have been working really hard on reformulating, and so that's really exciting. And if when are you moving to Colorado?
So, sometime between June and September, it's up in the air. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, it's a timing thing, but for sure, 100%. It'll either be June or September, actually. It just depends.
I'd love to come visit you and do a little
Oh,
tour.
oh my gosh,
Uh,
anytime. Totally.
yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting a couple of your other creators at the show next week, and we'll have to set something up. And yeah, we need a picture together soon, so we'll have to
Totally.
make that happen.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm following you on Instagram. Tell everyone where to find you.
Thank you. They can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Kudarat Skincare, and we also have a website, kudaratskincare.com, and that's Kudarat Skincare.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, well, that's our show for today. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
All right, so that's it for this week's episode on the Clean Beauty Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to head over to iTunes to review, rate, and subscribe to the channel. Until next week, stay beautiful.